Joining us now, Corey Lewandowski. Corey was the campaign manager for Donald J. Trump for president, 2015 and 16. He engineered his victory. He is now an informal advisor to the president and also a senior advisor to the vice president's political action committee. That's the Hard Money PAC. And Corey Lewandowski, also the author of the best book written on the campaign, Let Trump Be Trump. Go to Amazon, buy that. He's got another book coming out November 22nd that is really creating waves in Washington. No one knows exactly what's in it. Well, except me, but no one knows exactly what's in it. And it's coming out November 22nd, and it's called Trump's Enemies. And Lewandowski is going to name names of people past and present in government, in the White House, in the West Wing, that have been systematically undermining President Trump's America First agenda. So November 22nd in D.C., all hell breaks loose. Corey Lewandowski, great to have you, man.
John, once again, you are a genius. I just listened to your predictions on the Senate races, and without revealing any information that isn't public, I think you're 100% spot on. The Republicans are going to pick up seats in the U.S. Senate. They're going to hold the seats. The Heller race is, people are talking about this like this is going to be a close election. Dean Heller is going to win that race in Nevada by 4 or 5 points. It's not going to be as close as people think out there. And I think we're going to hold Arizona. And, John, I'm going to tell you, the sleeper race of the country right now, nobody's talking about it. We've got an incredible candidate running for the U.S. Senate in Michigan. He is closer to Debbie Stabenow right now, John James, than anybody predicted. She now has to debate him. He's an American veteran, a small business owner, a war hero, and he's a man who's going to win that Senate seat in Michigan. You mark my words.
So you think that John James in Michigan has actually a shot to beat Stabenow?
I didn't think so about 2 months ago, but this is a man, the more I see him, the more I learn about him, the more I see his tenacity and his ability to campaign, and you listen to his story, he is the complete epitome of what Americans should be. He's the complete antithesis of Debbie Stabenow. He's a man whose family has stood up in the Detroit area and worked for the community and not complained. He creates jobs. He grew his family business 3 times the size it was when he took over, when he came back from his military service, and he is catching on fire in Michigan right now.
Well, I tell you what, that is on nobody's radar screen, Corey. Let's go over these races because I'm predicting right now that the Republicans are going to pick up 5 or 6 seats. Everybody says I'm crazy. I've been saying this for some time. The Tennessee race, Blackburn, Bredesen, Marcia pulling way ahead now in that race. She is going to win. That's going to be a hold. Remember, Tennessee, Corey Lewandowski was one of those seats that the Democrats were chortling about, that they thought they could pick up. That is now not going to happen. Blackburn way ahead. What do you see there?
Way ahead. Bredesen was the single best recruit that the Democrats had this cycle. He's a former 2-term governor, moderate Democrat from Tennessee, very well liked. Marcia Blackburn is going to win that race, hands down, walking away.
Right, she's up by 10 now, so that's going to be a hold, no question. Let's get to, and we both believe that the Republicans are going to hold Arizona with McSally. I don't even think that's going to be close when it's all said and done, and I think we're going to win Nevada, as I've been saying for some time. All right, let's get to Montana. John Tester being challenged by Matt Rosendale. Real Clear Politics has this about 2 or 3 within the margin of error. I'm predicting Rosendale wins. What do you see there?
Rosendale, in the polling that I have seen, is actually up 2 points, and that is before President Trump goes out to Montana this week to do a campaign rally. As you know, the president's doing a West Coast swing. He's going to Nevada, Arizona, and Montana. To put an exclamation point on that, you're going to see John Tester become the former U.S. Senator from Montana, and we're going to have a new Republican and a pickup in Montana come 3 weeks from today.
Josh Hawley, probably the biggest surprise for Republicans. Some people not sure that he was going to be the best candidate. He's turned out to be a very good candidate. Remember, Claire McCaskill, who won in 2012, she beat Todd Akin, whose campaign at the end had a total implosion. She is now trailing to Hawley in Missouri.
That race, I don't want to say it's over because I will never underestimate Claire McCaskill, who's raised $25 million of hard money and is a tenacious campaigner. But the momentum is on Josh Hawley's side, and barring something crazy in the last 3 weeks of this election, Josh Hawley's going to defeat Claire McCaskill and want to pick up that seat.
Now, I want to get to Florida, Corey. We're with Corey Lewandowski. We do these predictions all the time. Obviously, the majority of them, he and I are spot on. We ought to probably have our own 538 type site because we're never wrong on this stuff. In Florida, all polls show it very close, within the margin of error. Bill Nelson with a small lead. We don't know what the hurricane impact is, but this governor of Florida has been stellar with these hurricanes. I mean, he's got a rapid response team. They get power on very quickly. So we'll see how this plays out, that devastating hurricane in Panama City. But I thought from the beginning Scott was going to win this race.
You know, I thought the same thing, but I'll tell you what, Nelson has put up a much stronger fight than I thought he was going to. I thought by now, 3 weeks ago, Rick Scott would be up 4 or 5 points and he'd be starting to pull ahead. This race is nip-tuck, and you know you can't underestimate the impact of hurricanes because it takes people's focus away, rightly so, from the elections. But that being said, you've got two exceptionally well-known individuals who both have statewide experience and seem to have high favorabilities from the people of Florida. And so this becomes a battle of the Titans. I think Rick Scott can still pull this out. But if you would have told me with 3 weeks to go, Rick Scott would have been down 1 or 2 points in the public polls, I would have said no way. I would have said he should have been up 1 or 2. That goes to tell you the type of campaign that both Rick Scott is trying to run and that Senator Nelson is fighting for because he wants to be returned to the U.S. Senate.
I thought that this race would always be tied up until the end. I think Scott wins. He's been a very popular governor, and so I think he's got the edge there. In the great state of North Dakota, Heidi Heitkamp down 10 or 13. I think that's over.
That race is over. Congressman Kramer, we're going to be calling Senator Kramer very soon.
Okay, so that gets us to Indiana. Joe Donnelly still clinging to a slight lead over Mike Braun. I just don't see Indianans returning Joe Donnelly in this climate that we have with the economy going so well. I'm predicting that Donnelly goes down and Mike Braun wins that seat. What say you?
I agree with you, John. Look, this is the vice president's home state. He was out campaigning there this weekend. He was there Friday and Saturday. As you know, his brother is on the ballot in Indiana and is doing so well that he's out helping Mike Braun for that Senate race. This is a big focus of the administration because it's the vice president's home state. The administration knows that they can beat Donnelly in that seat, and so I think you're going to see Braun come away in the next 2 weeks and start to open up his lead over sleepy Joe Donnelly. Okay,
so let's get to New Jersey. I know about a month ago you said that might come into play. I don't see it. Menendez up by 10, 15. He's going to get reelected.
I don't believe John. Nope. Look, I saw some internal numbers yesterday I don't want to reveal, but I'll tell you what, if I was Bob Menendez and I saw the numbers that I saw yesterday, I'd be scared to death. You've got this Republican candidate who's putting his own money into this race. It's giving Menendez a scare, and if I had to flip a coin today, I would say, yes, Menendez is going to win, but the resources the Democrats are going to have to put in to keep Menendez in, if they decide to keep him, is going to draw resources away from elsewhere, and I'm not convinced that he's a sure gun. This is a 4 to 5 point race right now, and it's closing quickly.
I don't think he's going to win. So we can disagree on that only because I'm from New Jersey and I just can't see them beating Menendez. But let me ask you this. In West Virginia, I'm really shocked at this. I thought Morrissey would be in a much better position against Joe Manchin than he is now. But the most recent surveys that have come out, Manchin is still holding an 8-9 point lead in that state. Does the Attorney General have any chance at all there, Corey?
Well, he does, and part of the reason he does is because the Trump-Pence ticket won that state by 42 points. If there's any state that is Trump country, I think it's fair to say that's West Virginia. And you have seen the amount of time that both the president and the vice president have been in that state campaigning. I believe they're going to be back in that state to help both the 3rd Congressional District and that Senate race. Now, every time the president or the vice president goes in that state, Manchin's numbers drop. So about a month ago, Manchin was sitting at 54%. The president's been in a few times, the vice president's been in, and now he's hovering under 50, but he still has a lead. That being said, if the people of West Virginia, and they know Joe Manchin well, they have to understand, Joe Manchin was not the 50th vote on Justice Kavanaugh. He was the 51st vote. His profile and courage only occurred after Susan Collins came out and said she was going to vote for him. So, you have to ask yourself, if you're a West Virginian, are you putting somebody back in Washington, D.C., who is partially on the president's agenda, or are you putting someone into Washington, D.C., who's always on the president's agenda? And if they're voting for Donald Trump and his agenda, then Morrissey has a chance to win that Senate race. But it's not easy.
It is not easy. Joe Manchin, very popular, but I'm with you on that. I still think Morrissey, at the end of the day, is going to pull the upset. That is probably my biggest upset pick in this whole thing. He's a very good candidate. He's very underestimated. And again, this is a state that Donald Trump has won by, the president carried by 40 points. He's been there on multiple occasions. I've been there. The vice president has been there. They're going to go back. And I think at the end of the day, you're going to have to go to the polls in West Virginia and say, do you want to advance the president's agenda or not? And the best person to do that is Morrissey. So if this plays out, just to give a recap here for our listeners, I predict and Corey and I predict that the only two seats now that are in play that Republicans actually hold are going to stay in Republicans' hands, which are Nevada and Arizona with Dean Heller and Congresswoman McSally. So that gives the Democrats zero pickups. Then they have to defend all these seats. And I'm predicting that the Republicans are going to win North Dakota, Montana, Florida, Missouri, Indiana. That's +5 right there. If that holds, with possibilities that the Democrats have to defend West Virginia, and Corey, you're now saying Michigan, and also New Jersey. So they have an upside that goes all the way up to 8. So I think that there's a likely pickup here of 5 or 6. Tell me that would not be a stunning result on November 6th.
John, it would be historic. It would break historical precedents. Now, look, the map is very favorable this year to Republicans and to the Democrats 2 years from now because of the way the Senate is up for re-election. But that being said, to gain 3 seats would be phenomenal. To be looking at 5 would be incredible, and to be looking at more than 5 is truly historic. And that is a testament to what the president and the vice president have done on the economy, on the issue of national defense, on the issue of homeland security, on the issue of unemployment, on the issue of trade. And the voters of these respective states know that their individual senators, who are the Democrat incumbents, are obstacles to the Trump-Pence agenda. And these are, by and large, in states where Trump-Pence won 2 years ago overwhelmingly, whether it's North Dakota or Montana or Indiana or Florida, right? As you go right down this list, many of these places, 10 specifically, have Democrat incumbents in states that Trump-Pence won. And so I think you're going to see a historic number. And being at the top of the ticket for many of these U.S. Senate races at the top of the ticket are very important for those down-ballot congressional races, because with a 23-seat majority right now, the Republicans have a very small margin to maintain the Republican majority in the House. It can be done, but it is really contingent on how well some of these Senate candidates do and if there are coattails further down ballot.
All right, so right now I'm seeing the Democrats picking up 25 seats, which would give them a 2-vote majority. Are you about there, or do you see it being right now just a snapshot in time, and we've got 21 days and all of this can change, but are you about where I am?
Here's what I think, John. I know the Republicans have a 23-seat majority, but there are really 3 more seats I think the Republicans are going to pick up that are going to give them the opportunity to actually have a 26-seat majority. So let's start with that premise. The big question in my mind right now is what happens in 2 key states, New Jersey and Pennsylvania. Because of the redistricting in Pennsylvania, Republicans could lose a number of seats. And if it is a blowout election, if it's a blowout election on the Democrats' favor, the New Jersey delegation could have as few as one Republican member of Congress left in it. And I don't think it's going to go that way, but that's what the Democrats are hoping for. And if that's the case, if the Democrats in New Jersey end up winning the margin by 11-1, then I think the Republican majority is also gone, and I think it's probably gone by 5 or 6 seats. I don't see that, but I see that as a possibility.
Corey, what are the 3 seats that you say the Republicans are almost guaranteed to pick up to get them from 23 to 26?
Well, we've got, because of redistricting and because of retirements, we've got some opportunities. And then, look, I don't want to give away the playbook, but I can tell you this. Let me just give you this example, John. It was about 4 weeks ago where Democrats were saying they were on the offense, as an example, in Texas, okay, where they thought they were going to have an opportunity to pick up a number of congressional seats. Culberson, Sessions, all these guys, guess what? All of a sudden, there's no more play in Texas. The Democrats thought they were going to expand the field, but they're not. And what the Republicans have done very, very well, they've protected incumbents. And look, I look at incumbents like David Bratt in Virginia, who, when they told me 6 weeks ago or 8 weeks ago he was in deep trouble, he's almost all but assured victory now if things go the way they're looking to. Scott Taylor on the beach, right? This was a seat that the Democrats were targeting that they thought they were going to pick up. And for that matter, Barbara Comstock in Northern Virginia. These 3 seats in Virginia, when they talked about this massive wave, were the first 3 to go. I don't see that anymore. Look,
right.
Some of the numbers have Barbara Comstock in a 1-point race, and she is a tenacious fighter.
Right.
She's a woman who wants to be in the House. And so the Democrats have overplayed their hand by talking about how big their wave is going to be. And what I think you're going to see now is Republicans are going to steal a few seats, and they're going to hold some of the places that the Democrats thought they had a chance, which means if the Democrats take back the majority, if they do, John, I think it's a 1 or 2 seat majority at their very best right now.
Well, I tell you what, that is exactly what I see today. I see them gaining 25 seats with a 1 or 2 seat majority. And, you know, in that scenario, Corey, you never know what's going to happen because you could get people flipping one way or the other, right?
Well, and in addition, John, in addition to that, you could have 8 special elections in any Congress like we've had this cycle. Members of Congress die, they take other jobs, they leave, they,
right.
You know, whatever it may be halfway through their term. And that puts so much more emphasis on those very, very small margins. And it really means that the individuals who are controlling the agenda in Congress are no longer the speaker and the minority leader, but a select group of key members who can work across party lines to get things done.
Oh, that is so insightful. That's exactly what it means. The power is going to be in the hands of a few moderate people one way or the other. And you could also get Democrats that are blue dog, if you will, more moderate or conservative that might flip over. I saw that, and other times that could happen. So there's a lot of things here in play. But I think we can agree to this. 21 days out, Corey, the Senate and the Congress for Republicans look a lot better than it did 90 days ago. Don't you agree?
100%. And look, that's a testament, to be fair, to the administration that's worked very hard on the campaign trail, to the people at the RNC, the NRCC, the NRSC, the senatorial and the House committees who have really put their shoulder down, raised money at historic levels. The vice president's, PAC, which I'm part of, that has raised money at historic levels to give to those candidates. And we've recruited some very good candidates on the Republican side. So, look, I will tell people, don't be complacent. Don't take for granted what we've had for the last 2 years, because the future of our country, the direction of it, is directly at stake if the Democrats take over. And if the Republicans maintain control, you'll see an infrastructure spending bill. You'll see a second tax package go through. You'll see immigration reform done, and you will see the continuation of bad trade deals renegotiated to benefit our country as opposed to others. That's what you're going to see if the Republicans maintain the control.
We're out of time. I want to thank Corey Lewandowski for being with us. He's a senior advisor for the Vice President's Political Action Committee, Great America Committee. That's greatamericacommittee.com. Corey, I think the Republicans are going to pick up 6 seats in the U.S. Senate. Call me crazy, but I can feel it. And I want to thank you for being with us today for that great update. Corey Lewandowski, don't forget, buy his book, Let Trump Be Trump. But the blockbuster coming out, this is the one that's already shaking up Washington, Trump's enemies, November 22nd. Circle it on your calendar. You're going to want to pre-order this. It's a blockbuster. Corey Lewandowski, thanks for being with us, sir.